In today's episode of HR Censored, we have someone who wrote in about a situation that's really common and gets kind of tricky. And this is where they used to be a member of the team and now they supervise the team. And now everybody has hurt feelings about it. Let's talk about it. Welcome to HR Censored. This is the show where I help people deal with the messiest part of their job, the people stuff. I'm Whitney. I'm an HR expert, and I've coached hundreds of employees and leaders in dealing with sticky kind of workplace employee issues. If you have an issue that you want to submit, please submit it in the form below, and I'll take a look at it, and I might even feature it in an upcoming episode. Subscribe to my channel so you can make sure you're notified when we have some other juicy workplace situations that come up. Now let's get into today's situation. So today's writer says this. I'm a first time manager at a tech startup. I was promoted from within the team. We're a product team of 6. And I used to be really close with a few of my teammates. We used to text memes, vent about leadership, and go out for drinks after work. Since getting promoted, things feel weird. I've noticed that one of my team members, who used to be a work friend, keeps undermining me in little ways, like questioning my decisions on our team Slack channel, being combative when I try to assign them new tasks, and laughing things off when I try to step into my authority as a manager. I tried to be chill about my transition. I didn't want to come in acting like I'm above everyone, but now I feel like I've lost control of the team completely. I'm second guessing myself all the time. I can feel the vibe shift in meetings. People's body language changes when I talk in meetings, and sometimes they even blatantly ignore things I ask for until I follow up 2 or 3 times or bring in my supervisor. What should I do to fix this situation without completely ruining the relationships I used to have with my coworkers? At this point, I just want to be able to do my job and not feel awkward around my team doing it. So yes, this is a super tricky situation that is pretty common, I think, when someone gets promoted from amongst the team. So I have a few thoughts about it. My first that I just want to say before I get into my advice is just congratulations. I think that you should celebrate this moment regardless of how your former colleagues are making you feel. It's a big accomplishment to be promoted and being recognized in your company, to take on that type of leadership and broader responsibilities. And you should feel good about that part of it, right? Lots of us like to try to grow in our career and do bigger and better things. And so I just want to tell you congratulations, and that you should feel good about this promotion, even if your colleagues are being a little shady about it. The second thing I want to say before I give you my real advice is that I think it's a huge misconception that you can remain friends with someone that you supervise. I have never seen it go well. I think that there are boundaries that need to be maintained. You have to supervise people. You have to give them direction. You have to be direct, right? All those things that I don't always think are conducive to a friendship with someone that you have to be supervising. So I do think it's something that you're going to have to get out of your mind, that you'll be able to maintain any resemblance of a friendship that you once had. It is not going to be possible. And I think it's interesting because, yeah, like I think you're trying to balance 2 things, right? That you're really happy about this promotion, but you can kind of have to grieve, right? The relationships that you are leaving behind. So give yourself that time and space to kind of process that. But I do think it's important for you to be real with yourself that you will not be able to maintain those same relationships that you had before now that you're supervising them. And so now let's get into my advice. I imagine that you probably have not had a real direct conversation with any of your former colleagues since the transition. And I think it's a little awkward. So it's probably not something you think about, but I do think it's important to set the tone for the direction of like how your relationships with them will now be. And so if I were you, I would set up individual one-on-one meetings with the people that you supervise, particularly the ones that you used to be peers with. And I would do a couple things. The first is I would just like acknowledge the situation and the awkwardness of it, right? And I would say something like, "Hey, I wanted to have this meeting because I feel like we just haven't like had a true sit down in my promotion. And I'm sensing that there's like a shift in our relationship and the way that we're working together that has been frankly surprising to me. And so I thought it would be good if we just sat down and kind of like level set it a little bit about how we can work together better, right?" So I would just kind of set the tone there. The second thing that I would do is establish your role and what you're expected expected to do, right? And so you can say something like, I've been promoted, obviously, to supervisor. And in my role, I'm expected to do X, Y, and Z, right? I need to lead this team. I need to supervise you all. I need to do your performance reviews, etc. And it also includes me having to direct your work, oversee your work, things of that nature. And so, I'm being expected by my supervisor to lead this team successfully. So I would just set that tone. The third thing that I would say in that conversation is setting the expectation for how you want the relationship to go moving forward, and setting the expectations for the behaviors and actions that they should or should not be doing any longer, right? So I would say something like, my expectation moving forward for us to have a good working relationship, the things that you have been doing, like undermining me in Slack messages or pushing back when I'm trying to give you work direction, or when I have to come to you 2 or 3 times to get something done, or bring in Bob, my supervisor, to get you to do something, like those things need to stop. And that's my expectation. You don't have to like everything that I say, and you can disagree and you can give me feedback on what you think about the work that I do, but I would appreciate, and I think it's more respectful to do that in a one-on-one setting, or coming to me privately, right, to discuss those things. So yeah, like I would just set those expectations for what you want. And I think it would be important for you to be clear, like, I expect those behaviors that I just listed to stop, right? And that should be it, right? And I think you can just let them know, like, your intention is for this to be a good working relationship, that you really enjoyed the friendship that y'all had before, the colleagueship that you had before, and you're hoping that that can continue on as y'all move together in this new kind of phase of your professional relationship. So, you might say, okay, that sounds all good and well, Whitney, but what if that person doesn't respond well to the conversation, or they leave out of the conversation and maintain doing the same things they were doing before? And to that, I would say that that means you're probably leading to, probably one of the most dreadful parts of being a supervisor, which is like having to move towards a termination, right? Like, obviously, it's not going to go from 0 to 100 just because they like go back and do one Slack message. But I do think it's important that you have to like address it early, and I think like hard, right? That this behavior doesn't continue. You don't want to give any leeway or slack to let them like keep doing this, because I think the longer it happens, the worse it's going to get. And so in this case, if you continue to see the behavior happening after, commenting or kind of communicating to them that like, hey, we had that conversation, I'm seeing this Slack message, I want to know what's up and why is this happening. And if that happens a few times, then I would say you need to bring in your supervisor, bring in HR. And yeah, like it might mean that this person is no longer a good fit for the team. And it's sad, but I think it's important for everyone to be showing up professionally, regardless of their feelings. And you just can't be undermined as a supervisor, because I don't think that you'll be able to succeed. So that's my take. I'm sure that many of you who are listening to this have like some thoughts about it. And either like you've been someone, right, like who was once paired with someone who became your supervisor, or you're a supervisor who had to leave the team in order to be the manager. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments and just see where y'all are heading, and if you agree with my advice. And the next I would just say is like, subscribe to my channel so you can make sure you're notified when we have some other juicy workplace situations that come up. If you have your situation with a boss or someone that you supervise, or one of your coworkers that is kind of stressing you out, share it with me. Submit it. I'll take a look. I might even feature it in an upcoming episode. And I want to be clear that I try to make sure that these sensitive situations remain anonymous. And so you should feel comfortable sharing them with me, that if I identifiable information, I will not share that on my video if I choose. And, I'll just make sure that I just don't want anyone to get in trouble for sharing this and trying to get some earnest advice. So you can be sure that I won't rat you out here. So with that, I just want to leave you with the thought that, I know that people problems are really hard, and, but I don't really think you need to deal with them alone. So I'm here to help. I'm Whitney. Thank you for watching HR Uncensored People Problems, and we will see you next time.